Hello everyone, welcome to this session of Edgebrite University webinar series. Today's topic is Learning Experience Platform, and the moderator for today's session will be myself, Ajay Upadhyay, and the presenters are Brian Rush and Manish Gupta. Same housekeeping rule as in some of the all the previous sessions. So feel free to post your questions in the chat box, and you can also find the Q&A in the communities area on Edgebrite University site. So with this, Brian, I'll hand off to you. You can start.
Alrighty. Thank you, Ajay. So we'll start by defining what a learning experience platform is, and then highlight the differences between an LXP and an LMS. We'll discuss the evolving needs of today's learners and examine the trends within the industry. We'll also discuss the considerations to take into account when assessing an LXP for your organization. Learning experience platforms are corporate learning solutions used to provide employees with personalized learning experiences, usually in the form of microlearning. They often use artificial intelligence to provide and recommend targeted content and learning paths or playlists so that employees can choose the relevant content and develop their skills. Content often includes videos, podcasts, ebooks, blogs, and articles. While LMSs can be used for training of multiple audiences, including internal employees, customers, and external partners, as well as training providers, learning experience platforms are more suitable for providing corporate employees a different way to gain knowledge and skills. Employees, including subject matter experts, can share their wealth of knowledge by contributing content in the form of videos, presentations, podcasts, and blogs. In this age of social networking, they can also provide feedback on the learning and share it with others, as well as suggest new learning topics. Some use cases within LXPs is to use it for organizational knowledge, something that's more community-based where learners can comment and share. It's also encouraged for continuous learning. So learning outside the learning management system, or if the solution is integrated, can be also part of that same solution. But it encourages continuous learning because it's not an assigned learning as much as it is a learner-driven, which is part of the modern learning culture. And then social learning encourages sharing amongst peers and subject matter experts as well. So next, let's look at some differences between LMS and an LXP. In a learning management system, content is more typically assigned or pushed with a top-down approach, while with an LXP, it is more often browsed and organically encountered, as it is essentially a more learner-driven ad hoc model. It's sort of like training versus learning. When training is assigned, it carries with it a completion task that can be connoted as a burden or chore. Learning on one's own accord makes the finding of knowledge nuggets more gratifying. Another distinction is that typical LMS provides content at a higher level of granularity than their LXP counterparts, which offer primarily microlearning. We'll discuss this variation in more detail on an upcoming slide. Content in LMSs, often mandatory, can make the tracking of course completion the more important criterion for an LMS, while in an LXP, the main thing is to make learning accessible, discoverable, and shareable. As long as there are regulations, mandatory training will have its place in the corporate workplace. We recently recorded a webinar on compliance training that addresses issues related to mandatory training, which you can find in the events section under past webinars. For associated content, an LMS's catalog of courses may be tagged with categorical metadata, whereas an LXP often has the artificial intelligence capability to better recommend not only similar learning, but relevant content based on other learners' learning paths or ratings, for example. By increasing the accuracy of recommendations, learners are more likely to continue their learning adventure, resulting in better learner engagement and satisfaction. And then from a systems perspective, an LMS is often seen as an adjunct solution or overlay to an HRIS or HR information system, while an LXP may be bolted onto an LMS. All of these are not hard and fast distinctions and don't follow a particular rule set, but general differences between the two learning platforms in their current state, which we'll cover in more detail. Many LMSs are used for certifications or programs which can have courses within it. A course within an LMS typically has multiple components in which content resides, such as a module or topic. A lesson may be nested within a module or topic, of which there may be many. This macro learning's tight coupling makes accessing and retrieving a specific nugget of content problematic for the learner, thereby inhibiting the quest for knowledge. The course may even have content blocked until previous content is completed within it. Furthermore, it may also reside within a SCORM wrapper, adding another layer of inaccessibility. Even if the learner has completed the entire course, they may want to review a particular takeaway at a later time. Compared to a course, microlearning is like unbundled training. Content is decoupled for quick access to just enough, just-in-time learning. This standalone lesson-level content is easily shared and retrievable. Most all LMSs use SCORM and, to a lesser degree, AICC for tracking course completions. However, for recording a more granular microlearning experience using XAPI statements in the semantic form of subject, verb, object, like I did this, a learning record store is more practical and transparent to the learner. Content curation within LXPs is often compared to the Netflix or YouTube model, with their intelligent recommendation engines based on AI and machine learning analysis of previously watched content, considering genres, actors, and other data, and comparing with similar patterns of other users. It also categorizes the content with similar patterns with labels such as newly added or popular, or you might also like, a familiar term encountered upon adding an item to your cart on Amazon, for example. Millennials and Generation X in particular are expecting this kind of user interface and delivery experience and want to go beyond simple browsing by scrolling and unlikely chance encounters in a course catalog. They expect more accurate and refined search results based on more than just categorization or tagging. So strategically, where does the LXP fit within the ecosystem? From a systems perspective, the enterprise stack may include a human capital management solution, talent management system, competency management system, learning management system, learning record stores, as well as internet and collaboration platforms. The LMS is not going away anytime soon, as regulated mandatory training will always be needed, and along with use cases such as e-commerce, instructor-led class scheduling, and certifications may persist in this separate environment. Most all LMSs use SCORM and, to a lesser degree, AICC for tracking course completions. For tracking more granular learning, a learning record store using XAPI is more practical. Some LMSs have the LRS capability, but an LRS can stand independently as well. While many LMS companies are getting on the LXP bandwagon, there is potential for other facets to claim their stake in this market as well. The mid-2000s saw a trend toward integrated talent management systems, with larger companies swallowing up more specialized solutions such as LMSs and competency management systems to make a tiered HR suite with skills-based learning and training to specific job roles. If we were to continue this trend, looking up the proverbial food chain, using the LXP, learners could gain new skills and competencies, potentially feeding the data to a competency management system to store the proficiencies of their employees, which may then interface with the talent management system, whereby HR can better determine candidate suitability for positions and any gaps in the organization. Where the application for LXP functionality best fits will be determined within the next few years as LMS companies begin to incorporate the feature set and the industry acquisitions and mergers shake out. But it may very well go the other direction. Jambach was an early player in the game, 2010, and since acquired by SAP, for user-generated peer-to-peer learning within organizations by providing the ability for employees to share video content. This was pre-LXP, and the market was not yet ready at the time. But with the LXP market ripe for expansion and the business priority for continuous learning beyond compliance and mandatory HR training, the focus of internal corporate learning spectrum may shift to a more open system, more closely aligned with the business perspective and acute needs of the learner in the workplace. If the workforce is already entrenched in a collaboration platform such as Jive or Facebook's Workplace, for example, the LXP may be better suited as part of that ecosystem within the business rather than under the traditional HR L&D ownership umbrella. The disruption may even evolve into a new function within organizations, such as the Human Experience Department incorporating virtual reality training within the learner experience platform. Evaluation factors can include the following. Video content is a key component of an LXP, and the LXP's capabilities should be thoroughly vetted. Being able to search within a video is where indexing of the content plays a huge role, and even the best content is useless if it can't be easily retrieved and searches are abandoned. Captioning of the audio content is also key, as employees cannot always play content aloud. Translation, even if your organization's current state does not require content in other languages, it should be considered for future state. Both captioning and translating are becoming more automated these days, so it's good to stay abreast of these technologies surrounding this capability. In terms of flexibility, interfacing with APIs to other systems is a major task that you want to uncover and make sure that the LXP is going to handle very well, because as seen in the last slide with the various tech stack components, there's lots of potential for it to go into different directions. And likewise, even with single sign-on, employees overwhelmingly prefer not to have to go to disparate systems for seemingly similar uses and have to learn a new user interface. As far as skills, a number of LXPs are also incorporating competencies, and that should be interfacing with a competency management system as well, if it's not built into the LXP itself. And doing assessments and validation of the skills and competencies is an important part of that as well. So somebody just taking a video is not necessarily skilled in that particular item. There needs to be some kind of validated verification process that can be done, such as an assessment whereby somebody is being observed, so an observational assessment. As far as internal preparations, getting buy-in from the top is really key. Implementation of an LXP is a cultural change and needs the right messaging from senior management for it to be successfully adopted. New processes will need to be considered, including such things as the governing of content contributions and any approvals that may be needed as a result. An oversight committee should be formed early on and incorporate representation from all functions of the organization to properly determine business requirements. With this, I'm going to hand it over to Manish at this point to do a demonstration of Edgebrite.
All right, thank you very much, Brian. Let me share my screen here. So thank you very much for giving a good background of a LXP and comparing it with the LMS. So that was pretty useful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Edgebrite platform, and I'm going to walk you through the experience of the LXP requirements, or some of the suggestions which Brian has made, that what are some of the things should be there in the learning experience platform. These are some of the topics which we are going to cover as we go through the demo today. So first, we are going to start with showing the micro-learning experience, essentially the trend which is being popular lately very much, which allows more, it's a more of a learner-driven approach where they are trying to find the content by themselves, and then what kind of a different capabilities it should have to provide a wonderful micro-learning experience. First of all, it should have an interface, easy to use interface, that basically whether they are accessing it on a mobile device or a Mac or a PC, they should be able to access the content. Second, what is most important is should be contextual and personalized. So we'll see how that can be done. And then, of course, one of the important thing was how you can quickly and easily find the content which you're looking for. So we'll talk about that, and then we will get onto some other points related to the micro-learning experience. So let me directly jump onto the platform here. So we are going to use this demo site today for our discussion today, learnzone.edgebrite.com. So I have logged in as a user here, and I'm showing you experience of a user. But one of the things which is also very important for you to understand, that if you are providing the experience of micro-learning, depending upon the organization you are, you can also enable this micro-learning for the anonymous users, so they can come and basically have an ability to view a subset of videos or subset of documents which you would like them to see before they can create an account. And that could be an encouragement for them to create an account to get the access of more content which is there. So right now in this particular screen which you are seeing, I have not logged in as a user, and you can still see that some of the things which are already shown here in the through the microlearning experience. In Edgebrite, we call it an open learning feature, which provides a microlearning experience. So you can see some of the featured playlists this anonymous user can see. They can click and any of the playlist, and they can see what are the different lessons inside the playlists are available. They can go back and review the other playlists. They can see the popular lessons. They can also see if it is a video, that what is the size of a video. If it is a document, then what is the how many number of pages are there. They can see the views. You can also, if you're on an organization which conducts a webinar, then you can have the list of the webinar recordings which can be part of the same in a different panel here in your microlearning experience. Similarly, you can have the random picks here. So essentially, you can allow an anonymous user to come here and click any of these items, and then they can start viewing. But there are certain aspects of the platform which are not going to be available for anonymous users. So for example, they can come, they can play
in this video
whatever is available to them, but in case they need to perform some of the social engagement related activities, then they need to have an account. So what I'm going to go right now, I'm going to switch on to the another screen where I have already, Gary Stewart has already logged in. So let me go to the open learning here. And now if I review quickly the panels here, I would see that because it's a logged in user, there are some additional panels. Those are showing up. For example, my playlist panel was not showing up as an anonymous user because it's a playlist panel which this user has created its own playlist. So basically that user has to log in. Popular lessons were showing up, but another panel which is showing up here is watch it again. Very similar to NetLearn, Netflix style, or the modern style of learning which Brian was talking about. So if you have already viewed something, that can go into the panel here or called watch it again. Similarly, the past webinars are available here, or the random picks are available here. And so this user can click any of this and then start viewing it. But before we go into that, a couple of more things I wanted to point out here, that how you can find this information. So there are a couple of things, a couple of ways this in the videos or the information which you are looking. You can find either you can use an open search option here, or you can have the different dimensions which you can define here. So for example, a subject is one of the dimension which is defined with the different subjects which are available here, or the different delivery types which are defined here. You can have more dimensions if needed. Edgebrite supports multiple dimension, hierarchical dimension structure. For example, in the case of soft skill, you can have adaptability, conflict resolution inside the soft skill. So you can do that, and if you select any of this, it will automatically filter the items which are tagged with this artificial intelligence or other items there. Similarly, if you need to go back, search based on the type of the content, then there are a couple of options readily available. So if you search on a video, it all will filter all the videos that are available. And remember, when you're creating what you're showing here, the lesson which are shown here in the open learning, from a creation perspective, you still create a course in Edgebrite, add these lessons, but you have a basically settings available in the course which allows you to make the selective items available in the open learning here. So you can see the videos here, or you can click on the documents and you can see the documents that are available here. So since these are coming from the course, so these could be the videos or documents which may be uploaded in the Edgebrite platform directly, or in some cases these could be the documents or the videos that are coming from external sources. So for example, if I click on this video, then I will see the source of the video here. So for example, in this case, I can see that this video is directly coming from YouTube. So you can see it gives you a nice way of organizing all the different type of content. And from the open learning experience perspective, the user has a very simple, easy to use interface. It doesn't matter where the actual content is being served from, but they will see this interface all the time. So here, if you need to, this user needs to rate, they have some social engagement related opportunities available here. So they can rate here. If they need to follow certain videos or a document, they can follow by clicking this option here. The benefit of following essentially is if there's any change in the content, they will be notified here. In addition to that, if this video is not part of any playlist, if they'd like to add to their personal playlist, so you can see that this is a playlist which is available and which this user has created. Either they can create a new playlist or add this video to any of their existing playlists. So you can see that can be done. Or another option available is if you would like to share this video on a LinkedIn or a Twitter or via email, you would be able to do that pretty easily, and it will basically open the window for your Twitter or a LinkedIn account, and you will be able to share. Now, the benefit of sharing is if you are sharing within your communities or the people you know on your social network, then essentially I have shown you the initial experience as anonymous user experience. They can come and they can play that particular video if it is allowed to be viewed as anonymous user, and if they are interested, then they can create an account. So essentially you can see that this can help the people in your network to further basically what you are learning you can share with the other people, and if they are interested, basically they have an opportunity to learn here. What I'm going to do is another important point before I show you a couple of more things here is these featured playlists. Although these are prescribed playlists which your instructor or subject matter experts have created and presented on this particular screen, but there's a opportunity for your authors or your trainers that they can create certain playlists that are applicable for certain teams, or there could be certain playlists that are applicable for a global. So though the featured playlists are created by them, but they can still be contextual in a manner that if you are part of a sales team and if there is a playlist created for customer service team, you will not see that playlist. So essentially there could be some global playlists that can be created, and then there can be some playlists which are specific to a specific team or specific set of people. So whether you're training your employees, whether you're training your customers or partners, they would see the relevant playlist there. Similarly, here all the different videos and the content which you are seeing, you also have an opportunity that there could be some content which could be global. That means if I click on a view all or try to look for the content, I would be able to see all the global content which is available to me. But there could be some content, some videos, some documents that could be pretty specific to certain group of people. Then even if I do view all, I am essentially seeing what is allowed for me to see. So there are certain controls you as the basically as the subject matter expert or the owner of the system you have. So you can see it's a kind of a nice mix. You are empowering your learners and user to be able to access the content the way they would desire, when they want, how they want to consume it, but yet you have overarching control available there. So let me just go to one of the playlists here and just kind of quickly see a playlist experience. So for example, if I click on this soft skill playlist, which is a personalized playlist this particular user has created, and if they want to click any of the item here, they can just simply click this item. And then they can start consuming it. One of the things you will see, because I have clicked the playlist lesson on the right side, this screen is now pretty suggestive to me that there are other items that are available in the playlist. So you don't have to go back, and you can quickly navigate from there to the another playlist item if you need to navigate to the other playlist item. So that makes it pretty simple and easy for you to do. Now, in addition to some of the social engagement aspect which I talked about, there is another piece which is available, that you are allowed to comment anything if you would like to comment in any of the items that are available for you to access. You can comment, so you can see all the discussion that is taking place here in the area. Now, one more thing which is pretty important, one of the things which Brian has mentioned, that there's still a need of the more of a formalized learning. So though this open learning or micro learning experience is giving a lot of flexibility to a learner to basically decide how they want to learn, what they want to learn, when they want to learn, find quickly what they're looking to, and find the pretty relevant information. But there's always need of certain things which are a little bit more formalized. So if you are going through certain videos, certain trainings, but there could be in your organization is basically allowing some more formalized training for you to learn a little bit structurally better, uh, or there could be certain trainings where you can learn very basic things in a video or a document, but then you need to go through a formal either an e-learning course or the instructor-led training course to get a full experience of that. This is what we call in Edgebrite as a progressive learning. So for example, I am here on one of the document where I'm viewing some details there, but you can see at the, as I scroll down at the bottom, it starts to recommend me that, you know, there could be a course session or there could be a related events that may be available for you to learn if you would like to learn more about it. So essentially this is bridging a gap of informal learning to a formal learning, so you can make recommendations and suggestions for those who are interested, and then they can basically go find the details about this particular event or a course, and if they are interested, then they can enroll onto those events or the course sessions. So that's a pretty nice way of directing your users to more formalized courses where there is a need, and otherwise they can still continue to consume the microlearning area. Going to go back to the slide, so I've covered the items which are there in this particular site, and I'm going to go to the next slide here. So here essentially we already talked about one of the thing about the interfacing part of it, which Brian said that some of the factors which are important to consider. One of the factor was the interfacing, the user experience part of it. And when you talk about the user experience part of it, especially with this modern style of learning with the videos and the documents, then the mobile plays an important role. And from Edgebrite's perspective, this open learning is available for user to access either using the mobile browser, or this is also supported in the native app if there is a preference of using the native app for iOS and Android. Now, while it's important that this modern style of learning or providing this learning experience to a user is important, but at the same time, it's very important to see what is happening in the back end, how all these kind of activities is being measured. So what I'm going to show you is just quickly some of the reportings that are being captured behind the scenes. So I'm going to go in the same site, but change my view to the administrator view, and I have some of the reports. Those are already opened here, so I'm just going to quickly walk you through. But pretty comprehensive reporting module available, where you can find a lot of reports related to the formal learning management platform, but there is a section here which is especially dedicated for the reporting related to the open learning. So both detailed level reporting and some summary level reportings which are available. So I'm going to give you a quick view of some of those things here. So for example, first of all, one of the things which is important, which you can find here, is the popular lessons. So essentially, the most granular level in Edgebrite is a lesson, and the lessons are part of a course. They can be delivered as inside a course, or they can be delivered in an open learning. So this particular report essentially gives the the popularity of those lessons. So you can see that the different lesson has a different level of popularities, and behind the scene you would be able to see if you this chart is backed by this detailed data where you can see who are the users, when exactly are they viewing, what are they viewing, that kind of a details you can find. This is also another view of the report where from the open learning perspective you can basically search the lesson views report. You can put some filtering criteria. Right now I've just selected some rate criteria here. This report is available for download, or you can use a download all to get all the data. Here download allows you to just download what you are viewing. So basically for this particular duration, essentially what you're seeing in the page essentially is downloadable, but download all downloads if there is additional data which is not right now you are viewing. So you can see here these different users, what are the different lessons they're viewing, what are the date they're viewing. So that kind of a detail you can go. There is some aggregation available, so you can see this at the daily or a weekly level, and that can give you the idea about this particular report. Similarly, the rating report also gives you a little bit more detail into what kind of a different lesson that are being rated here. So you can see that who are the user when they are rating, and the rating currently in this particular site which we were seeing demo site is available like a thumbs up and a thumbs down, but you can also have if there is a need like the 5 stars, and then accordingly the star ratings can be captured. So you can see the details here, and again if you're more interested in doing some analysis further down, you can download it and you can see which lessons are the more popular lessons out here or rated highly. Similarly, you must have noticed that I have commented in one of the lessons there. So the comment report is also available, and this can again be downloaded, and you can see which of the lessons where the comments are the most, and then you would be able to do the analysis accordingly. This is an interesting thing because a lot of time you can see the playlist created by users. So these are the different users who are creating the playlist and what kind of a lesson they are adding into the playlist. Now this becomes very important a lot of time, because when you do analysis and if you find that there could be certain lesson which are being added which are added by a lot of people in their personal playlist, then there is an opportunity for you to consider and think about if you would like to add these into the some featured playlist automatically rather than them users adding by themselves. So some of those analysis you can do looking into this report. And this is last but not the least one of the report here which shows which of the lessons being followed. So you can again find the details here. Now these you can also look at the quick the stat summary. Let me see if it pulls out. Yeah, so the stat summary essentially goes across all these different reports we were going, and then it is showing you the aggregated report across all those, and then when you click the view all, then it basically takes you to the detail of the different reports which we were seeing previously. And if I click any of the lesson here, this is another view which I quickly wanted to show you. So this is a view which is very similar to the view of the learner view, but if you log in here as the administrator, here what you would be able to see is it's loading, so I'll wait for it to load. While it's loading, I can continue on some of the other items and I can talk to you about those. So I'm going to change my view back onto the learner, and beyond the micro learning experience, another thing which we talked about is which is important from the engagement perspective is having the learning communities. So you can have a multiple learning communities, and these learning communities can be decided. There could be some general learning community or subject specific community, or there could, and these communities participants could be anybody who is interested in participating in this community. Sometimes we have seen that the communities are created as very specific communities are created only for the subject matter experts. So those subject matter experts basically can participate in those communities which is specific to them, and just discuss what is working, what is not working. And these subject matter expert can also be part of the some other communities where basically they can be resourceful, where they can guide the other people what they can do. So for example, if I am open any of the topic inside this community, I would see that some discussion is taking place here. So for example, this discussion here, it is talking about that somebody is requesting the machine learning related resources, and so simply you can go and you can start posting here, and you can share some of either you can provide some response and some provide some guidance here. So for example, in this case, we'll just share some of the resources here. So what we can do is I can just share some resources, and I have one quick for example, YouTube video. So I can just simply go here and select this option. Either I can hand type, or if I have the information, or I can just take this video here and I can just paste this put this video link here. So there's a this is a full rich text editor, however you want to use it, and then you can publish it. And once you publish it, you can see that in this basically community you started participating, and you have shared the in the discussions you have shared your point of view, and that's how you can get the discussions and forum going on. So depending upon the community of interest, you can participate in that community here. And in the community, there are, in addition to the forum discussion, there's another couple of options available that you can share the resources, and you can also have the polling and discussions. And so that particular piece is not enabled on this site. So I have another site that is available here. So this is a different demo site, and this demo site, for example, if I go in a community, the view is slightly different in this. And in this case, when if you go inside any learning community, there are multiple options which you are seeing that are available here. So this forum and discussion is very similar to what we were just seeing now, that you can participate in some of the discussion that is taking place. You can post here, but in addition to that, you would see that there's a resources option available, tab available. So this can show you any resources the different community member have shared, and these resources, if the all community members are allowed to share, then they would be able to add and share those resources here. But you can see in this case, it gives you option to quickly search for it, filter it, or if these resources are categorized, then you have an option to quickly filter based on the category also. So that's another piece which can be made available in the community, and while people are engaged, a group of people that are connected. In addition to that, a polling is another feature that can be used. So if you want to create a poll or share among your community members, or and get their inputs, you can see one of the poll which is running here, so you can participate. Now definitely there are certain controls available. The polling or resources, either you can open it for everybody in the community, or you can limit it to the people who are the basically the admin of those communities. So that way it can be managed here. So for example, in this particular polling, you can see some options are available, some already voting results are available here. So depending upon your preference, you can select a choice, and then you can vote for this particular option here. And you can see the result has changed accordingly. So I'm going to go back onto the site which I had previously, and just see if any other point which I would like to touch here. Yeah, so I think I have covered most of the point. One more thing which I can probably show you, which was covered by Brian as one of the important consideration factor is. So from Edgebrite perspective, right now I'm in an admin view. Now, the most beautiful thing is when you're assembling your content, the course editor is still a place where you can assemble your content. So this is a course editor, and inside a course editor you will put the different content and you can organize however you want to organize it. If you want to deliver this content as a formal course, you can deliver it as a formal course. But if you want to deliver this content in the open learning area, there are a couple of things that you would need to do. In the authorization area, first you need to make sure that this is available, previewable for all the site users. So you can, if you select this option, basically you will make it available for everybody as well as the anonymous users. So you can have this particular option available. But if you want to limit this preview only to a specific group, this is where I was saying that if you want to say that I want to make this preview available only to my corporate group or a customer one group, you can limit this. So this is a course level setting. But in addition to the course level setting, there's another setting that is available, which is available at the lesson level. So at the lesson level, unless the previewable is allowed or previewable is enabled, you won't be able to see these lessons inside the open learning. So while at the shell level, at the course level, you are saying that all the content of this potentially could be available in the open learning, but you have an option to selectively choose which one you want to make it available. So for example, in this case, we have seen that this particular videos or this particular YouTube video or this particular video essentially have the properties that allows it to be available for a preview inside in the open learning area. This is also a video which I'll run a quick preview just to show you that Edgebrite also allowed the subtitle and captioning. And we talked about previously from the search perspective, it becomes easier if you have the videos with the subtitles and captions, because then you would upload this what is called as a VTT files, which has the actual captioning available, and depending upon the different languages you can upload here. So you can just simply go here, select a language, and you can upload the VTT file. And once that is done, then if you let me run a quick preview of this particular course and this particular lesson. So you can see, let me just fast forward this one.
Was set aside, not.
So you can see it's now showing this subtitle at the bottom, and you can see that there are different subtitles available. So I'll let it play and I will change these subtitles dynamically so you would see how that changes.
For the exclusive use of the rich or royalty of a nation, but for everyone and for all time. A hinge of history was moving in 1864.
So when you put this information in the which is the text file, VTT file, which I was referring to, then essentially it makes it pretty easy from the perspective of learners when they are searching a video. This text can be used in their searching. So those are some of the options for you to consider as you are basically designing the learning experience of your user. So this is what primarily I wanted to cover in the discussion for the LXP, and I'll give the control back to Brian.
Thank you, Manish. So in conclusion, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and adaptive learning are all converging and contributing to the maturation and evolution of the LXP. This is an exciting time as we are likely to see a paradigm shift away from prescribed training toward more personalized learning. With everything from gas stations to customer success help systems, the self-serve model is here to stay, and learners want what they need without even necessarily knowing what it is, let alone having it assigned to them. Even in this nascent stage, getting the right learning in front of the learner at the right time with the least effort is the ultimate goal, along with the potential serendipity of organically discovering something of previously unaware interest in the process. Considering the state of flux in this arena, if current needs permit, it may be best to wait out the shakeup until things level out somewhat in this industry. So with that, we're going to get to our Stay Connected slide here, where, as Manish was saying, we use our own user community here. So we've set up our community for our Edgebrite customers and potential customers to take advantage of learning from others, peers, and those who have already experienced the Edgebrite system, and also connect with the Edgebrite support team. And then we also have support.edgebrite.com, where you can go to see video tutorials on open learning that Manish was talking about, the knowledge base, and webinar channel that you're subscribed to now if you've attended this one, and any frequently asked questions that might be available. Likewise, if you are subscribed, you'll be able to be on the mailing list for release notes so that you can receive information about all of our new features and enhancements as they roll along. And then you can also subscribe to our blog at blog.edgebrite.com, where we write about the industry trends and how we're following them and where Edgebrite is going to go. And you can also, of course, follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter at Edgebrite. And with that, we offer our thanks for joining us today and look forward to seeing you on our next webinar.
All right, thanks, Brian.